Welcome to the Confident Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Jennifer Johnson. If you find yourself here, it may mean that you're looking for courage, clarity, or confidence in some part of your life. I interview experts in business and life each week and share strategies for success, motivation, and mindset. If you want to learn more about how I can help you grow your business as an extension of yourself and help transform you into a confident entrepreneur, check out my website, jenniferannjohnson.com. Now let's get started. Today, we welcome into the studio Joe Nugent, otherwise known as AKA Joe the Home Pro. He's a fully licensed, bonded, and insured home inspection company that he started. And you're originally from Ohio and you moved to Southwest Florida in 2011. I didn't realize you've been here that long.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. The other day I was like, wow, it's been like almost 13 years since we moved down here. Like, kind of
Wow.
crazy. Nuts. Because I lived in Cincinnati for 18 years, or no, excuse me, 12 years, and then born and raised in Cleveland. I lived there for 18 years, right? So it's like I'm fastly approaching like this is going to be the longest place I've lived somewhere.
Wow.
So it's
I
fun.
just thought, oh, you just moved here. New guy on the block,
Yeah,
but
new
you're
guy on the
not.
block. I know, because I know
Not.
17 people. That's why. That's why I think I'm new. I'm not though. I promise. I know like 18
Yeah,
people.
I think it's more like hundreds,
Yeah.
probably thousands. But so your idea to launch Joe the Home Pro was a response to stories that you had heard about people being taken advantage of.
Yeah,
Is essentially
100%. And actually, let's take it back one step even before then. I was in corporate America for 20 years, right?
What did you
and
do?
So I was my last job was director of sales and marketing for a huge hotel company up in
Okay.
Fort Myers. Before that, I was a regional sales director for Intercontinental Hotels Group.
Oh my
So I had
gosh.
like
Yeah.
34, 35 hotels in 4 states. I was always on the road. Well, then corporate reality and politics come into play, right? And all of a sudden I find myself without a job. So I was married at the time. My kids were like 3 and 1 or something
Oh
like
my
that.
gosh.
And I go, how in the heck am I? Like, I'm done with this. I'm done with other people telling me if I have a job. So my wife at the time, we watched a lot of HGTV.
Oh yes.
And I'm watching the show, and there's this guy on there that's a home inspector. And I'm going, I could totally do this. I'm like handy-ish. I know like a little about homes. Like I'll figure this out. So I started to look into the home inspection thing. So I had another job. I got a job like 10 days later as a director of sales and marketing for this big hotel. But then I was like, I'm gonna start getting my home inspection license.
Like
so
side hustle.
Yeah. So for the first 5 years, nights, weekends, I mean, I'd be doing like home inspections. I'm like, I can meet you at 5:30 on a Tuesday.
Oh my gosh.
And so I'm leaving work, changing on I-75 into like home inspection gear, right? From like my suit.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay, let's go be a home inspector. Well, then you fast forward to 3.5 years ago, COVID happens.
Right.
Very bad for a lot of
And
people.
you're still with the hotel
Still
at
at the
this point?
hotel.
Okay.
So then 3.5 years comes by, 3.5 years ago happens, and COVID happens. And they're like, listen, you're the highest paid team member in the hotel. We are running 8% occupancy. We have no events. We got to furlough you. I was like, awesome. Thank you. They're like, no, we really want you to like read this, sign this paper. I'm like, no, I'm good. Boom, boom, boom. Signed it. Can I say bye to my team? Cool. Grab my stuff. Because I was already out the door because I saw the writing on the wall. Like I needed to go full time into this. So here's the really ironic part. June 16th of 2000, I started my hospitality career. June 16th of 2020 was my last day in the hotel.
Oh my gosh.
How serendipitous is that?
Wow.
Right?
It
Really
is.
cool. Really cool.
It was totally meant
So
to
then
be.
3.5 years ago, I went full time into it. And then now you fast forward from then until now. And now I have a whole team that I've built out and we've won these awards. Like I've been really, so like very respectfully speaking, because there's a lot of people I know that went through really, really bad times during COVID. But COVID for me was probably a blessing in disguise in a way, if I can say that very respectfully, because it like kind of pushed me to go ahead and jump in full time. And then who would have thought the housing market would have blown up like it did? And I was like,
exactly.
okay, this is pretty cool now. Like we're doing this. So that's where it's been. It's been great.
You know, I like that you mentioned, you're like, well, I don't know if I should say it like this, because yes, you should. It changed many people's lives.
Yes.
COVID did, for better or worse. And I can say I know because it changed my business for the better.
Yeah.
Because you realized what wasn't working, what needed to work to get you where you wanted to go. You know, if you keep doing the same stuff over and over, and if we didn't have that, you know, it was horrible. Yes, it was a horrible thing.
Right.
But it brought out a lot of weak spots in everybody's business where it made you look at it differently. How can I do this more efficiently? How can I rework some of this?
Yeah. And let's not even talk about in people's businesses. How about the people that had the guaranteed job for life and then they realize, wow, no one actually cares about me and I'm gone. And now they're like,
Exactly.
now what do I do?
Right.
Right. And so there was a little bit of that, like in me, like I was
Oh,
like,
I'm sure.
8 years I've been with you, like, and I got a certified letter in the mail saying that my job's been eliminated, like just, really callous, right?
Right. It's
Just
corporate.
100%. It's corporate and it's like, you're the number and thanks for making
Mhm.
us $1 million. And we're glad that, we made you
Right.
feel bad when you took a vacation for 4 days. And,
Right.
I'm done with that. So what I am very, very appreciative of though, is my 20 years in the hospitality industry. I had some horrible, horrible people that I work for. I mean, horrendous. And
Mhm.
unfortunately, the hospitality industry is riddled with it, whether it's a
Of
hotel,
course.
resort, or restaurant, whatever. But I also work for some really great people. But what I did was I was able to take all the bad and I said, perfect. Here's how I'm not going to run my company.
Mhm.
And I was able to create this amazing culture. Culture for me is by far number one at any company. And I think if you were to go around and look, you're going to be really hard pressed to find somebody that is a bigger culture guy than me,
Mhm.
because I believe that if you take care of people, they will take care of your clients. They're going to be more loyal. They'll stay longer. They're going to do a better job, all those things.
Right.
But so many people, like you get that.
Mhm.
So many business owners don't understand that. They're like, what's my bottom line?
Right.
I will tell you very realistically and very transparent, this year has not been a great year financially for us
Mhm.
because I invested so much into my team and I
Yeah.
did different things. But if that's what it takes, where I know that's going to propel me
Right.
at some point.
And
Some
look
point.
at all the lessons that that was basically your training academy,
Yeah.
right? That
Yeah.
was the training academy for where you're at right now and the business that you've created.
I mean, yeah, 100%.
You
When I
couldn't
was
get better.
23 years old, I had the world's worst manager. Like I
Mhm.
would I would walk across 12 lanes of I-75 just to trip this guy. That's how bad of a human he is, right? Just a horrible human. And I look back and I'm like, I am so glad that
Mhm.
guy was my boss
Right.
because A, I feel really bad for him and his family. And B, I feel like so much better about what I'm
Mhm.
doing. And I know that I'll never be like
Right.
that. So it shows you, I think at an early age, a lot of like I work with a lot of young professionals and they have a lot of those same horror
Right.
stories of stuff. And I'm
Mhm.
like, listen, you're going to appreciate this. It's
You
going
are.
to take you 4, 5, 10 years. You're going to look
Right.
back and say, thank God I went through this.
The one saying that I carry throughout my life everywhere, and my listeners have heard me say this now. I mean, we're in our third year of our podcast, and my listeners have heard me say this before, but it's if you say this to yourself, it will help insurmountably. It doesn't happen to me. It happens for me.
Yep. When I was going through my divorce 7 years ago, and I immediately started working with this amazing therapist, and that was the one thing that she said that it probably has stuck with me.
Mhm.
It's like you really have to change your mindset.
You do.
And so I'm in the middle of something right now professionally with our business of trying to like make things work in like this down kind
Mhm.
of economy right now with
Which
the
is what I
housing
wanna
market.
talk about.
I know.
Yes.
And so yeah, so I'm not trying to jump
No,
ahead,
no,
but
no, but this is important stuff
yeah,
that our listeners really need to, entrepreneurs have a lot of stuff. So
yeah,
continue.
no, but it's so like the things I'm being faced with now of like, how do I keep the team together? How do
Mhm.
I make sure that we have money coming in? How do we make sure we're taking care of our partners that we work with? All these things. And I'm going back and I'm looking back on the last like 12 months essentially. And I'm saying, okay, what did I learn from this?
Mhm.
How did this happen for me as opposed to me? And I can tell you that I have like 6 really tangible things that I've already been able to take out of this year, just looking back in the last few weeks of like, okay, we did this, should have
Mhm.
done that, should have done this, need to do this, whatever that is,
Right.
right? And I think there's always the education in it. I think as entrepreneurs, to me, the entrepreneurial journey, that's the fun part.
Mhm.
The ending when you have like, $8 million and you're living on the yacht and you're having like that's awesome too.
Mhm.
But it's really the journey that's like the fun experience. And that's where the learning comes in. And for me, having 2 kids, 13, almost 14 now, which is crazy, and
Wow.
11, it's like cool for me to like be able to try to like instill in them
Mhm.
the entrepreneurial spirit and saying, hey, when you turn 18, you're going to go get your real estate license. You're going to start working for somebody and
Right.
like you're going to go to college or do whatever you
Mhm.
want to do, but you need to start looking into like these other like
Right.
little side hustles
Mhm.
and you need to start figuring this out now.
I think that's a great lesson, and I know it's getting further from what we wanna talk about today, but I can see that in my son. He started his
Yeah.
company at 14, really at 16, and he's 18.
Yeah.
And he has something and he's proud of that.
Right.
And, we teach them young, they understand it. They learn from, their parents. You're an entrepreneur, they see that
Yeah.
and you emulate that for them. And it's a wonderful thing. It can change people's lives.
Which is why I feel like it's our duty and responsibility, not even to just our kids, but to other people to help them
Mm-hmm.
and give them. I'm so like disappointed with the home inspection industry because it's a very older industry of older mentality of what's mine is mine and what yours needs to be mine. And I'm not going to tell you anything or help you. And
Oh,
I believe in how do we give a hand up as opposed
mhm,
to a hand out?
right.
Like, let's help these people. And that's exactly why I'm taking my company
Hmm.
nationwide is to be able to help other people. Like, that's what this is
Right.
all about.
It's you get what you give,
Right.
right? And you can see that in every aspect of your life. How much are you involved in your community?
Yeah.
Because that's going to come back.
1,000,000%. Matter of fact,
Yeah.
that's our fourth company pillar is community
Hmm.
centric. And my team always asks me, like, well, what does that really mean? I'm like, without the community, we wouldn't be here.
Right.
And it's our duty and responsibility to give back to all those people
Hmm.
that helped us at one point
Right.
in our life. And
Hmm.
I don't understand the companies that don't do that.
Right.
And it doesn't mean, hey, here's $10,000. It might mean let's do a day of service. Like every quarter, we do a Joe the Home
Right.
Pro day of service.
Hmm.
So it's like we want to work with a nonprofit or some sort of organization that we can help because it's the least we can do.
But that goes back to your culture,
Yeah.
right? You have to, as a business owner, you have to foster that with your team and you have to emulate that for them
Yeah.
or it goes nowhere.
You're right.
You can have a set of values on the wall or your mission, but without the person at the helm really driving it and living that every day, it's just going to be writing on the wall.
And every place has a culture. Some
Hmm.
are good and some are bad, but they have a
Right.
culture. And it
Absolutely.
all depends on who wants to work for you.
Right.
You want someone that wants to work for you that's going to come in and do a great job and they're going to feel appreciated. I can tell you
Right.
right now, not really because of me, just because of what we've created. I have 3 all-stars on my team. And I'm telling you right now, they would run through a brick wall without a helmet for me
Hmm.
if I asked them to, because they just believe in what we're doing. And I'm so fortunate to be able to have this all-star team that we can just, mobilize at a
Right.
moment's notice and make it happen.
And that speaks volume. Again, it goes back to your culture.
Yeah,
It definitely speaks volume to that.
I think so.
Is your closet overflowing? Or maybe your kids' closets are as well. Or maybe you just want to redecorate your house. If you're wondering what to do with all that stuff that you've accumulated, bring it all to True Fashionistas or even ship it to them for free. They'll sell your unwanted items for you. They take away all the hassle by doing all the work, and all you have to do is sit back and collect your money. You can reach out to them online at truefashionistas.com, come into the store, or check them out on Facebook or Instagram, and that's truefashionistas.com. All right, friends, we are back in studio with Joe the Home Pro, otherwise known as Joe Nugent, or the other way
Or
around.
the other way around, or
Whatever.
just that idiot. I
Uh,
answer that too.
no, no. Now, we set out to come in here to talk about something other than what we were talking about, and
Yes.
that's totally fine because it's such valuable information for entrepreneurs.
Now you know why
It's
Melissa has such a hard time of trying to stay focused with me because I'm like
this
all over
guy
the
is like
place.
all over that, but
Yeah.
so am I. I
Yeah.
get it. But that's the purpose. We want
Yeah.
to just sit and have a real conversation
100%.
about this kind of stuff. But so I want to talk about the real estate market right now,
Yeah.
about how it pertains to what you're doing in your business with the economy and everything. I know there's been a lot of talk about the downturn of the economy. Like, when is it,
Yeah.
are we in a recession? Is it coming? Are we almost over it? Like I heard, somewhere when the news outlets tell us that we're in a recession, we've already been in it for 6 months and we have about 6 months left, kind of thing. But how has that affected your business and what are you doing to stay competitive in what you're doing?
Great question. So, first off, I'm not an economist, but I want to tell you 1,000,000% we are in a recession and we have been. So, in terms of the housing market, and it's interesting because obviously I come across hundreds of realtors a week and mortgage
Hmm.
brokers and title companies and people that that really are experts in this field that can talk even more intelligently than me. But I look at it as we have a combination of a couple things. The COVID wave is gone,
Hmm.
interest rates are on the rise, prices have kind of flattened, right?
Hmm.
So if you think about it, if you look at our numbers now versus 2019, they are very similar. Well, what
Oh,
was
yeah.
2019? Oh, a
A
normal
normal
year.
year.
Right.
Yes.
So while everyone has like this COVID hangover, I'm going to
Hmm.
call it that because
Very
everyone like
true.
forgets like, oh, it was like we're supposed to have, I remember back during COVID, everyone's like, I have 6 minutes to go do an inspection, right? Now they're
Uh-huh.
like, now they're like, listen, we only have 7 days. I was like, 7 days, I'm going to go on vacation. I'll come back and then I'll come do your inspection. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
So there's been like a big change, right? But I think that what's happening is the market is doing a somewhat of a correction.
Mhm.
So how has it affected us? Well, obviously, we're not as busy as we were. We
Mhm.
were used to doing 70 or 80 general home inspections a month, and then
Oh,
like
wow.
another 100 to 150 insurance inspections.
So you
So
also I wanna talk about that, but
yeah,
well.
yeah. So what's happened is that since really June, the general inspections have gone down, but our insurance inspections have gone up.
Why is
Right.
that?
Well, partly because of the disaster that's the insurance industry. And I'm going to tell you something right now. If you know an insurance agent that you're friends with, go buy them a drink. These
Yeah.
people have been through
Beat
it
up.
all. I
Yeah.
mean, beat up just because of how bad the insurance market is,
Mhm.
and then throw the worst hurricane in the
Yeah.
history of Florida in there. And it's like this, just a catastrophe,
Mhm.
just an unbelievable confluence of events that has really like hurt them. So they're in a mess right now. So the insurance market is kind of like, unfortunately, for a lot of homeowners, it's been a nightmare for them.
Mhm.
For us, I love the fact that we're able to go out there and help so many people.
Mhm.
And so, yes, it's been very good for us, but we've been able to help so many people secure insurance by the inspections that we do for them. So it's kind of like this double-edged sword.
So I so because the real estate market's kinda softened,
Yeah.
that's lessened the business that you're doing for inspections because houses aren't selling perhaps as fast or
They're
there's
on the
not as many.
market like 60 some days right
Yeah.
now. I mean, like literally, I'm not kidding you. Like during
Wow.
COVID, it was like 60 minutes
Yeah,
if
it
they were even
was
on the market.
6 minutes.
Yeah, if they were even on the market, right? And
Right.
then it was like, "Hey, here's 500,000 over your asking price." It's
Exactly,
like,
like,
"What planet do I
ridiculous.
live on?"
Exactly. So you've kind and I hate the word pivot,
Yeah,
but yeah, I don't know what else to say.
yeah.
You've kind of changed your focus. How's that?
There you
You've
go.
changed your focus, sort of. You're still doing the home inspections for real estate, but now you also have the component of being able to use that for insurance purposes.
Correct, and we've been doing the insurance inspections for a while. It's just that we've seen such an uptick and an increase
Okay.
in them. So it has kind of made us like go, well, we're not really trying to change our business model, but this is where the market's
Mhm.
driving us right now. So there's a lot of things that we're doing from a sales and marketing perspective of how do we stay top of mind? Because let's take a look at just September, for example.
Mhm.
In the month of September in Collier County, 734 or 35 homes went under contract. Okay. So if we're only doing 30, 40, 50 inspections a month, who's getting the other
Right.
700 of those,
Mhm.
right? Or 650 or
Because
whatever
does
that number
everybody
is.
have to have an inspection?
They don't have to, but the majority choose. Now, there's
Okay.
still a group out there that is like, oh, I don't need my house inspected. I'm like, okay, you're really stupid, but that's fine. That's just me. I'm just saying, would you spend $700,000 on a home and then say, you know what, $600 is too much for an
Yeah,
inspection?
right.
Like, you're crazy
Right.
when you need a
Mhm.
$800,000 roof. And
Right.
like, you know what I mean? The way
Exactly.
roofing prices are.
Right.
So there is still like a small percentage of people that are waiving the inspection
Mhm.
for whatever reason, but by and large, the majority, and I would have to say I'd put it maybe like 80, 85, 90% of people are still getting an inspection. So there's still business out there to be had. There's still market share to capture.
Mhm.
And I'm a big believer that because of my hotel days, when there was any sort of downturn in the economy or whatever, the first thing that always got cut was sales.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
I am like polar opposite that.
Mhm.
I'm like, man, when there's a downturn, now we put our foot on the gas.
Exactly, and a lot of people lose sight of that.
Yes, and so that's what I'm doing right now. So like my whole team, even like my inspectors, I'm incentivizing them to go out and meet with people and like, hey, any inspection that you personally bring in, I'll give you a higher
Mhm.
split on
Right.
that
Yeah.
because you went out and
Mhm.
procured that yourself, which again is the right thing to do.
Right.
So I'm like everybody wins from it.
Mhm.
So I just have everybody with their foot on the gas right now from a marketing and sales perspective. And it's also reaching out to all of our people that we work with all the time,
Right.
going, hey, we're here for you. What's going on? What do you need from us? How can we help? I,
Right.
I mean, and that's all you can do.
And, that strategy kind of makes me think of, like, in like, a retail business, for example, when there's a downturn in the economy or a
Yeah,
restaurant, let's say, whatever that would be, or really any business for that matter, they take their eye off of their advertising. Oh my gosh, it's not busy. Like in Southwest Florida, we have seasons for those listeners that are not listening.
sure.
In the Southwest Florida area, which I know only have a lot of listeners from around the country, but uh, here we're not busy in the summer, and people go, "Oh, I have no money. I have to stop advertising." That's the wrong mentality to have
Right.
because that's the time that you really want to be pushing it.
Yeah.
because it's going to be bringing people in that may not have gone out to find your services just because it was too busy or they didn't have time because they were busy themselves.
Sure.
But like anywhere in the country, there's seasonality to people's economies, right?
Correct.
Or you look at it just a downturn in the economy as a whole. It doesn't have to be seasonal. You don't want to stop advertising because a lot of times in that time frame, advertising is cheaper,
Yeah.
right?
It can be 100%. And it's interesting. I'm in like a lot of home inspector forums, like on Facebook,
Mhm.
and some of them are just Florida specific and some are just across the country. And it is incredible. Some of the people that are out there, they're going, I haven't had an inspection in 6 weeks.
Oh.
I do 4 a month now, like crazy stuff.
Mhm.
So again, we talked about how is this happening for me and not to me?
Mhm.
Okay. Let me tell you about a different mindset viewpoint that I've had in the last few weeks of talking to literally hundreds of inspectors from all over the country. My company, knock on wood, I am one of the most fortunate people. We are still busy working.
Mhm.
Everybody's working. We are still winning awards. We're still delivering great service. We're still able to do what we want to do. I still have a roof over my head.
Mhm.
Everyone else has a roof over their head. I am telling you right now, there is some home inspectors across the country that are in bad shape.
Mhm.
And I talk to a lot that are like, yep, I just got a second job. I just went out and I'm doing this because they have to do what they have to do to survive.
Right.
But here's an even scarier number for you. Last year, there were 172,000 mortgage professionals across
Oh,
the US.
yeah.
There are 86,000 right now, year to
Wow.
date. So in 1 year, they lost
Mhm.
50%. And you look at the realtor numbers are trending downward in a huge way, partly because you had a lot of part timers or people that wanted to
Mhm.
ride the COVID wave of the housing
Right.
boom and like, oh, this is easy. Anyone can do it. Then it's like, well, hold my beer because now it's like, oh, look, things aren't so easy anymore with an
Right.
8% interest rate. And it's interesting how you're not able to go out there and sell.
Right. Because
You know,
the interest rate is definitely, I'm sure, had a lot to do with it. I mean, we're paying crazy amounts for everything,
yeah.
you
So
know?
here's what we're going to do. We are starting the fake news alert right here on this podcast
Oh,
that
boy.
interest rates are coming down. We're just going to start the rumor. And then all of a sudden it's going to be like, whoosh,
It's gonna
everyone's going to come back.
happen.
Everyone's going to come back. So that's what I told somebody that the other day. I go, listen, let's just do a campaign. We'll put it on the internet. Interest rates are going to be coming down in like the next 30 days.
It'll go viral.
At 100% it's going to go viral, right? We'll have like some like gorilla dancing or something with like a toothbrush. Who knows? But we're going to put this out there
I
because
know people will be waiting.
yeah.
They're just like looking out
And
the
here's
window.
here's one of those problems though from COVID, right? So like what happened during COVID? Interest rates went down to like 1.5,
Right.
2, 3%. So what did they do? Well, if no one bought,
Mhm.
they at least went and refinanced. So then they're like, well, I got like a 2.5, 3% rate. Why do I want to trade that for an 8?
100%. They're not
And they're not
moving.
wrong.
I'm not going
So
anywhere.
again, not an economist, but I'm going to also ask all of our politicians and leaders out there to say, can we just make the national average for mortgages 5% and set it and forget it? We'll just romp appeal it.
Right.
Just leave it here forever. Don't touch it. You
Wouldn't
can
that be
screw
great?
with our credit card, screw with anything else you want
Right.
to. Just leave the mortgage industry alone and say 5%
Right.
across the board for life. That's what everyone's going to get. And then we don't have this
Wouldn't
issue
that be
anymore.
amazing?
I'm just, you know what? Problem solved.
Okay,
Healthcare's next.
Joe for president.
Oh God, no.
Joe for president.
Way too many skeletons in that closet.
Oh boy. Ooh, maybe we should have a podcast about
Well,
that.
it's just Halloween, so maybe I'm going that way.
Okay.
But yeah.
Well, it has been so wonderful having you on today. I appreciate it so much. If our listeners want to get a hold of you, Joe, how do they do that?
Well, first off, thank you for everything that you do for
Absolutely.
Southwest Florida, and thanks for having me because this is like such a joy. I love this. Joe at joethehomepro.com, but all on our social media channels is all Joe the Home Pro. So Instagram, Facebook, everything. Just come and connect with me. I love connecting with people and meeting great people.
Fabulous. And there were a lot of good nuggets in that our conversation today.
No, my last name's Nugent. Not oh, okay.
Oh,
Sorry.
yeah,
I see what you did there. My bad.
Thought I got his name wrong. A lot of good nuggets that you share with our listeners today. So I really appreciate it.
No,
very
thank you.
much. And thank you, friends, for joining me today and every week here on The Confident Female Entrepreneur, brought to you by True Fashionistas. If you want a deeper dive, head to my website, jenniferannjohnson.com, to sign up for my emails where we take a deeper dive each week into topics for your small business. Have a fabulous day.